presented by Ram, continues on ABC Action News Now.
Okay, hello everybody, and welcome back for the final 15 minutes of the shoe, known as the plank. 9 minutes?
9?
Did I say 15? Okay.
Yeah, you
well,
said,
off 6
totally
minutes.
said 15.
Isn't this an open-ended deal? Can I do what I want? I can't. I can't. All right, but I do know one thing. Jason Beisel.
Yeah, our own Jason Beisel, reporter, tweeted at me asking me who we think will win the Colts and Browns game. He's a Colts guy from Indianapolis. I'm from Cleveland originally, so he wants to know, and he always likes to jab with me.
Well, who do you think's going to win that game?
Okay, so here's the deal. The Browns didn't make a quarterback change. They went with Brian Hoyer, not Johnny Manziel.
Absolutely, I would too.
I agree.
I wouldn't let Johnny Nut Squad go out there.
That's your nickname for him.
That's
right. The game's at home, tough place to play, but I'd like to see Cleveland win. I don't think they're going to do it. I think Hoyer's going to struggle in the first half. They put Manziel in the second half. And just like last week against Buffalo in the fourth quarter, it's going to be too little too late. I think the Colts, unfortunately, win. Do you agree?
I agree.
Yeah.
I think Colts win.
Yep.
And I'll tell you another thing, too.
There you go, Beisel. You heard it. I hope I'm wrong.
Well, I'll tell you what. Maybe Matt McGuire's got some fantasy picks out of that game.
Who knows?
I don't know, but here's Matt McGuire with today's fantasy picks.
Hello everybody, welcome to Week 14 here on the Ram Fantasy Football Tailgate. I'm Matt McGuire. We'll talk about another disappointing loss for the Bucs. There were a couple key injuries last week in the NFL, and of course we'll talk about a couple guys you might want to pick up to add to your team for the playoff stretch. Let's start with the Bucs though. Now we all know they've been losing a lot of games this year, but it seems like each week they find a new way to lose. This week it was 12 men on the field. But from a fantasy football perspective, when you talk about the Bucs, most of the time you're talking about Mike Evans. Now, the only problem is, last 2 weeks he's struggled quite a bit. Now, he's had 20 balls thrown his way, which is good, but he's only caught 7 of them, which is bad. I still think he's safe to say you can keep him in your lineup week after week. He's still got the big play downfield capability, and just like that, he can get back on track for another 100-yard game. We always talk about the Bucs running game, too, as one to stay away from because of the running back by committee. Well, last week was a little bit different. Doug Martin pulled ahead. He had 18 carries for 58 yards and a touchdown. Charles Sims is still going to be a factor in the passing game, but I wouldn't get too high on Doug Martin just yet. He's got the Lions coming in this week, and the Lions are one of the best teams in the NFL against the run. Now let's talk about a couple key injuries for fantasy football. Andre Ellington, the running back for the Arizona Cardinals, has a hip injury, and he's most likely not going to be available this week. He's had a huge year so far, not only running the ball, but mostly catching the ball out of the backfield. A lot of people are scrambling to pick up Marion Grice, his expected replacement. But Grice doesn't have those same pass-catching abilities out of the backfield that Arizona loves to use so much. So I'm staying away from him. He may be able to get you 10 points this week, so I think you can have better production somewhere else in the running game. Another huge injury is Deshaun Jackson, the wide receiver for the Washington Redskins. He's had a huge year so far this year. He's almost at 1,000 yards already, but he's got a leg bruise, and he's going to be out for the week this week most likely. Now, if he is out, it's going to open up a lot of other opportunities there in Washington. So you're going to want to keep an eye on his status as the week progresses. Now let's talk about a couple guys that you might want to pick up this week. Of course, all the talk is about Johnny Football in Cleveland, but I'm not so sold on Manziel yet. We don't know yet how much playing time he's going to get, and I really do think Hoyer's played very well for the Browns. So Manziel maybe gets 150 yards and a touchdown if he plays. I think you can find better production elsewhere at the quarterback position. But let's talk about a couple guys that you are going to want to pick up. Jordan Reed, the tight end for the Washington Redskins. If you remember back all the way to week 1 on the plank, I mentioned him as a potential breakout candidate if he could stay healthy. Only problem is he hasn't been able to stay healthy. He's only played about 5 games this year, but he's back to being healthy, and the reason why I like him the most is Colt McCoy is his quarterback now in Washington. If you look at the 2 games that Jordan Reed and Colt McCoy have played together, Reed's had 16 catches for about 180 yards. That's a lot of production that you can find for a tight end out there on the waiver wire. And if you add to that Deshaun Jackson may be out, that's only going to open up things that much more for Jordan Reed. Another guy that you're going to want to look at is Stedman Bailey, a wide receiver for the St. Louis Rams. Last 2 weeks, he's come on really strong, had a huge week last week, over 150 yards receiving, and he has a very favorable matchup against the Washington Redskins. The Redskins have given up some of the highest point totals to quarterbacks and wide receivers all year long. And now the last guy that I want to talk about is LeGarrette Blount. Now, just a few weeks ago, we were talking about LeGarrette Blount as somebody who was cut by the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was picked up by the Patriots, and if you remember back to last season, Blount had a pretty good season for the Patriots. But again, these are the Patriots that we're talking about, so you don't know what you're going to get. In 2 games so far, LeGarrette Blount has averaged about 10 yards a game, or 10 carries a game, and about 70 yards a game. But think about Jonas Gray, a guy who I highlighted for the Patriots a few weeks ago. In 1 game, he had 200 yards and 4 touchdowns. Since then, he's only touched the ball 1 more time for a 4-yard gain. So Belichick constantly likes to mix it up at the running back position. You can really easily get in his doghouse. So I don't really feel comfortable playing a running back for New England, but if you really need some help, look for LeGarrette Blount out there on the waiver wire. So that's all we've got this week. I'm Matt McGuire. Thanks for watching, and remember to use #ThePlank on Twitter if you have any questions.
All right, man. Thanks, buddy. All right, here are the keys to the game.
Avoid the flu.
Avoid the flu. Yeah, there's flus going around. Or the mumps.
The mumps?
That's in the NHL. A lot of mumps in the NHL.
Who knew?
But I'd say, yeah, the flu. And then I'd say keep the huddle down to 11 guys.
Okay.
We say that. That would be key.
That would be key.
That would be key. And then my third one is your guess is as good as mine because I'm pretty much done trying to figure these guys out.
Well, you think about it. We're not very accurate in our picks, except the last.
Speak for yourself.
But, hey, whoa, you didn't think the Bucks would beat the Steelers, and I picked the Bucks to beat the Steelers that week.
How do you know?
I remembered. I took notes.
Prove it.
We're going to have to go rewind and go back online. I'll show you that.
I'm only kidding.
All right.
I'm only kidding. Okay, that's the keys to the game, folks. Insight you get on this show is incredible.
What about your picks this week?
Well, you go first.
Oh, my picks?
Let's
Okay.
go you.
All right, big game here. Who would have thought the Dolphins would be in contention? But I think they'll stay firm against the Ravens. The biggest game of the week, in my opinion, is going to be Seattle and Philadelphia. And I think Seattle's going to beat up on Mark Sanchez.
Going cross country and
Yeah.
going to win that game, huh?
I think history is never on the Seahawks side when they go across
You're out
country
on the
like
plank
that.
on that one.
And we, of course, my pick, Detroit.
Of course you would.
Well, you would too. I know you.
I am. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
All right, where's TK's? Hit it. There it is. The Lions. The Saints. I'm taking the Eagles.
Really?
Yes, I am.
You think Marquis Sanchez is going to do it?
I think they could score more points than Seattle can. I think I have a firm believer in Philadelphia right now.
Okay.
I
You're
like that
buying
team.
into them. Are you thinking? I've heard some people pick them to go to the Super Bowl. Are you going to go out on a limb and say that? Are you buying that?
Give me another couple weeks.
Okay.
Give me another couple weeks.
I'm not buying it right now.
But
if they beat Seattle, that's big time stock. if they
Okay,
can.
now we got to figure out who's walking the plank.
Well, you can't put all 12 guys on the plank. It won't hold. But I don't think it's going to be, in my opinion, a coach or a player. I think the Bucs wouldn't have been in that position if it wasn't for a certain player getting penalized 3 different times. He was playing a position he wasn't known for, being a center, being a, guard, tackle, guard? Garrett Gilkey? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Garrett Gilkey, you had 3 penalties last week that killed the Bucs. You're walking the plank. But what's really cool about him, he owned up to it afterwards in the locker room, and was,
he did.
He took it and he put the blame on his shoulders, and he's a really nice guy, by the way. Super dude.
So don't you feel bad? You threw him off you threw him
No.
under the bus?
No, I threw him off the plank. There was no bus in that graphic.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
So who do you think is going to be in the plank this week? Probably figure it out right
Oh,
about now.
We're gonna predict for next
Yeah, we
week.
can do.
Oh,
we can
man.
figure out next week and the week after that.
Oh man,
I
don't
know. I love these guys.
We'll see
I
what
really
happens.
do.
It could be anybody.
You know what? If anybody from the Buccaneers is watching this show, I want you to really know that I do love you guys.
Yeah, they're all
All right. I mean, I've been watching this team for a long time. I'm a big fan of Lovey. Huge fan of Lovey's.
History's on the side of showing that Lovey struggles the first year as a head coach with
Well-
the Bears. But look at what happened this year. It's not all his fault.
Well, there's a lot of things. You knew. I would. When Tedford went down with the heart attack, I went, oh man. First of all, I went, oh man, when he was named offensive coordinator because I knew nothing about Tedford. He was in California.
Yeah.
So I really didn't know much about him. I knew the offense. Yeah, it's okay, but that's college. And then we got a Marcus Arroyo guy coming along. I'm going, holy smokes, who's this kid?
Right.
He could be my kid.
He could.
And maybe no, he's not. But all I can tell you is that, it's been a tough go for him.
Well, he'd be the first to tell you, maybe not publicly, but he's in over his head, like Greg was saying earlier in the show. But, The only way you're going to be able to get anywhere in the NFL is if you're learning.
Is to get experience.
You get experience.
Yeah. Well, he's getting it. He's getting it. Whose birthday?
Uh-oh. We got
Your husband's birthday? Christy O'Sullivan's husband's birthday is today. Right? Very nice.
Evan. Happy birthday, Evan.
Way to go.
So we got to wrap this thing up because she's got to go home.
You got to go home? You got cake? Ooh.
Can't ask
Big
her.
time cake, Evan.
Can't
Big
ask her
time.
what kind of cake did you get him?
Chocolate cake?
You.
Are we invited? No.
Oh yeah.
No,
you got-
sure.
But Jordan's got treat night.
Yeah, Jordan's got a 5-layer cake. 4-layer, only 4?
And chocolate
He
covered
was going
bacon.
to do an 8-layer. This guy's a cook. I wish we could swing that. Let me get up and I'll turn the camera over there. Can I do that? No, you don't want to see that? Because,
We'll do it
because you
next
could be
week.
a chef. You could be a chef at like a 5-star restaurant.
That's the idea.
Is that the idea?
So
Okay.
why are you working at TV? Oh.
Because it's easy. Oh man, listen to this guy. All right, well listen. Is it time for us to say adios, muchachos? Okay, adios, muchachos.
All right, we'll see you guys next week. Let's see if the Bucs pull out a win.
Huh? Playoff.